Morning, everybody. How we doing? It's great to see you guys. Thank you for being here on such an important day for the New York Liberty. To get started, I think it's important just by detailing the journey that got us here. This search took over 2 months to complete, and you guys meticulously chronicled that, so appreciate the coverage. But honestly, that was by design. We ran a detailed search because the standard that we're chasing, it requires it. And we weren't interested in making a quick hire. We were interested in making the right hire. I feel confidently that that's what we owe to our players, and it's also what we owe to our fans. It's to see the entire process through for each and every candidate, vetting them not just on basketball, but on their vision for culture, leadership, accountability, and alignment. Now, that level of diligence, it takes a village, so I would like to take just a couple of seconds to thank the people that helped to curate that search with me. Takia Clark, Dustin Gray, Epiphany Prince, Andrew Wade, Parker Lovett. Your insight, your preparation, and your dedication to evaluating every detail, it was invaluable. Of course, I'd also like to thank our owner, Clara Wu Tsai, for providing us with not only the resources, but the runway to do this the right way. Her commitment to excellence, it truly is second to none. So when we stepped back at the end of the season, we started to evaluate not just the job description for the head coaching position with the New York Liberty, but really where the game of basketball is going within the WNBA. And we asked ourselves as a group, what qualities are essential to build a team that relentlessly pursues championships while also setting the standard within the WNBA? And so we came up with criteria that we felt were non-negotiables for our future. And so to go over some of those, we needed somebody with elite level tactical competence, somebody who's a leader that possesses a deep curiosity for the game of basketball, but also an unwavering drive to uncover every possible strategic edge. We needed somebody that understands the habits that go into building a dynasty, somebody that's been in a championship culture and understands the cost of greatness, but equally as important, the accountability that's required to sustain that greatness. And then just as critically, as we enter, unprecedented levels of expansion within our league, we needed an industry leader when it comes to player development. We have to be an organization where our star players are routinely adding layers to their game, but also where our role players are developing and turning into starters. And we need to plant our flag as the home of development, where players around the league know that this is where you come if you want to be at your very best. So with that criteria, we then cast a wide net, and we had the opportunity to speak to truly some amazing candidates. We looked at head coaches, assistant coaches. We looked at college programs as well as the NBA, and we really just let the evidence guide us. And as we went through our process, it just became evident that Chris DeMarco was a personification of the profile we're looking for. When you look at Chris, he spent 14 years inside of the Golden State Warriors organization, and that gave him a rare and invaluable perspective. He lived through a pivotal transition period of eras, and he watched a great foundation evolve into a historic dynasty, and he saw firsthand what it takes for a contending team to break through its ceiling, but then for that breakthrough success to become repeatable. And I think it's important to note, he did not just witness that transformation, but his fingerprints were all over it. And then when you look at his experience as a head coach with the Bahamas national team, he orchestrated a historic run, and he led a program to unprecedented success. And in that role, he demonstrated an elite ability to quickly adapt. He was adapting to new rule sets, fluctuating rosters, and high-pressure elimination environments. And while doing so, he proved that he can do more than just manage a system, but he can build one that fits the talent in front of him. So when you take it all in, Chris possesses a rare combination of tactical savvy, emotional intelligence, as well as an unrelenting work ethic that aligns well with our players, as well as just like who we are as a franchise. So we believe that Chris is the right person at this time to unlock the full potential of our group and to lead the New York Liberty to the levels that we all expect. So without further ado, it's my privilege to introduce the next head coach of the New York Liberty, Chris DeMarco.
Thank you. I want to thank Jonathan. I want to thank Clara Usai and the entire ownership group for this opportunity. Kia Clark, it was a joy talking to you over our Zoom calls early and then seeing you again the other night. And then everybody else in the Liberty organization. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I also want to thank the Golden State Warriors. I spent 14 seasons with that organization. And Steve Kerr, Mark Jackson, the entire coaching staff, those who are there now and have left, ownership group, Peter Guber, Joe Lacob, and especially the players who really allowed me to grow into what I am today as a coach. I also want to thank the Bahamas Basketball Federation. I was an assistant coach for, I think, 4 or 5 years when they made the decision to hire a young coach who had no head coaching experience. And without them, I, again, would not develop into where I'm at today. And we made a heck of a run on the brink of the Olympics. And I feel like I'm Bahamian, if we're being honest. And it's I owe it to all those players, some who were highlighted in the summer and some who played in windows where we're in Puerto Rico and we have 30 fans and we have to win to keep the dream alive. Lastly, I want to thank my family for their incredible support. Anybody who works in sports, which is the majority of people here, know the sacrifices it takes, the things you miss out on, weddings, funerals, whatever it is. It's a difficult life that we all live, and without my family, I would not be in this position today. I'm absolutely honored to be in the head coaching role in the WNBA. The league is expanding rapidly. It's really exciting. It's where I want to be, and there's just a tremendous growth each year. And I get a chance to coach the greatest basketball players in the world. And the same goes for the Liberty. When I landed here, I was just blown away. Like world-class organization. I stepped in up to Barclays, and the LEDs had my face on it. Like made me feel welcome. You know, I go from coaching the other night to all of a sudden I'm a head coach here in New York, you know, the greatest city in the world. And just from the second I stepped into Barclays, walked onto the court, you know, saw the Jumbotron, whether I was doing content or meeting with Jonathan and his team for meetings, and everybody's just so great. And I'll say it again, it's a world-class organization. Very, very excited, mainly because of the championship pedigree. I think for those who have won at the highest level, it's so hard to get there. And we have an organization that's been there. We have a team full of players who have been there. And I do think that matters when you're trying to win every single season. And I know last season we were unable to repeat. And I think there's some growth there, and we're going to continue to work on that. Lastly, I love the connectivity of the community here. The Brooklyn Basketball Training Center across the street. Can't wait to get over there and work with the youth and be a part of a community in Brooklyn. So.
Thanks, Chris. We'll open up to Q&A, starting with Doug.
Morning, Coach. Doug Feinberg, the Associated Press. Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Two-part question. What made this the right time for you to make the move from the NBA side to the W, since obviously the Warriors have been so successful for so many years? And was there anyone you've talked to who had made that move already? There's a few other NBA guys who came over to the W in the last couple of years. Did you talk to anyone about what to expect or anything of that nature?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball as a coach and started to develop offensively. I've done player development. I've been a video coordinator. I've been a scout. I've done everything I can outside of being a head coach in the NBA. And in the last couple seasons, and I think the Bahamas national team helped form this, I started to realize I would love to be a head coach. And when this opportunity came up, and I did just a little bit of research, it was a no-brainer. This is the best opportunity in the WNBA. Again, a championship franchise, and it's what I wanted, and it's why I'm here right now. In terms of talking to other coaches or leaders that went from the NBA to WNBA. I've talked to Nicky Wren. I coached with him for many years at Golden State. And Natalie I spoke to Nate Tibbetts. And I have a lot to learn about the space. So I'm going to spend the time, over the next few months and keep growing and keep learning. And, hopefully by the time the season starts, we'll be ready to go.
You kind of hinted at this, but I know that basketball is basketball, but I guess, how have you prepared yourself or gotten ready to coach women?
Yeah. We had 3 games in 4 nights, so I still am doing my assistant coaching role with the Golden State Warriors, but any free time I have, I'm pouring into this. I've probably ordered every book on the New York Liberty like you can find online. And I've always watched as a fan, right? So now I have to shift my focus and watch as a coach. So there's a lot to go back and watch, but I'm a massive basketball fan, and I love every second of it. So I'm going to continue to lean into that, continue to learn about the history of the WNBA, the history of the Liberty. And, as we enter the 30th season of the WNBA and the franchise, it's just a really exciting time.
Hey, Coach, over here in the middle, Miles Ehrlich. I guess to further that question, what is it about coaching in both the WNBA and the Liberty organization specifically that did appeal to you with this opportunity? Yeah.
Like I said, it's just a world-class organization. And when I say New York City is the best city in the world, I lived on Long Island until I was in first grade. And so we moved to Wisconsin. My dad's a New Yorker, so he was the coach who was a little intense for the Midwest at times. He had the heavy accent. He had all that, but everything was New York. And so we would come back in the summers, Jones Beach. I'd see family, all that stuff. So I've always been drawn to the city. And again, I talked about the championship pedigree here. I want to go somewhere where we have a chance to win. And with the support of ownership and the way ownership's aligned with management and now the head coach and it has been, this is just an exciting opportunity.
Jackie Powell with the 9 Basketball. Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Meet you.
I have a question for Jonathan first, if that's okay. We've seen a lot of fluctuation in coaching in the WNBA in the past few years. In 2020, there was a rule implemented to try to develop the coaching pipeline by adding an assistant that was a former player. And so with that in mind, I guess I'm just curious now in 2025, what you think needs to be the next step in the WNBA to really grow the pipeline. So you have people that are committed to this league who can then get into those head coaching jobs.
Yeah, I think honestly it starts with us, right? And I think you're going to see that through our coaching staff hires as well as basketball operations hires. I think I'm proud of our track record when you look at women that have come through this organization and elevated and gone on to do great things with other franchises. And I don't think there's any reason to think that that will cease. In terms of what needs to happen, I think it's that. I think it's giving opportunities and talking to as many people as possible. As I said, the game is changing, and I think that's pretty obvious, right? So it's making sure that people are getting the opportunity to learn under the people with those types of minds and that they adopt those skill sets and then get to action those skill sets in a really successful way.
And Chris, for you, I guess I'm just curious, what is your vision for the identity of this team? I'm sure you've taken a look at what it looked like before. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think, again, this is a championship organization, won a championship 2 seasons ago. Find out, obviously there's injuries last season, but the foundation's there. And when you have players who have already won, it's such a competitive advantage in any league. And so to just build on the foundation that's been set already and use our versatility. We have a lot of players who can do different things offensively and defensively, and we're really, really going to pour into that.
Christina Williams, Girls Talk Sports TV. I want to touch on what Jonathan said in his opening statement about your player development. If someone attended one of your practice, what is one of the first things they'll notice about how you like to run things? And then I have a follow-up for Jonathan, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really collaborative. It's not just going to be my voice. Our staff's going to mirror my ideas, and I mean, sometimes not, but we're going to be on the same page, and everyone on staff is going to have a speaking role. I am intense, but I'm also very clear about what it is we're trying to accomplish, and it is going to be a player-driven team. I'm not going. Our first meeting isn't going to be, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, we're going to get with the leaders of the team, we're going to get with the entire roster, and we're going to decide how we want to do this together. And I've always found that player-driven teams have more success. And it can't just be coaches all the time coming in and being like, hey, we're not playing hard enough, or hey, this is great, we got to get better here. It's got to be players, too, holding each other accountable. And if it's something we all agree on together, I think it's a lot easier to do that. As far as like a practice goes, like, you're going to see a lot of competitiveness. We're going to be competing 1-on-1, 2-on-2. We're going to be doing a lot of things that I found fun as a player, but also that got me better. And you're going to see a lot of joy around the facility. I want people to want to come to practice. I want people to want to get better, and that's where it's going to start.
And then for Jonathan, this is obviously a unique offseason with the CBA negotiations ongoing. How has that transition been like, ushering in Chris while all of this stuff is happening, and how have you guys been preparing him for the 2026 season?
Yeah, it hasn't been busy at all, huh? Yeah, I think we can control what we can control, right? So it's just planning like we're in a regular schedule right now, making sure that we have, during the season, we're planning for the off season, right? So now it's just getting ready to execute on those plans. In terms of Chris, I know you thank Steve Kerr. I'm sure he's probably pretty mad at me because I'm blowing up Chris's phone like you wouldn't believe, and it's just trying to get on the same page about what we're doing. We're going to be taking Chris on a world tour for sure, going out to Unrivaled, Athletes Unlimited, going overseas to see players, not only ours, and making sure that we're ready to roll whenever something does get done. I don't anticipate that the learning curve is going to be that steep. I think we're going to get his feet wet very quickly, and we'll see what happens in terms of an agreement.
Over here, Ben Pickman with The Athletic. Just one quick clarification question and then one other. Are you still working with the Warriors, or when are you transitioning over to the Liberty?
Yeah. I believe my last game is going to be when we actually play Brooklyn at the end of the month. So, yeah. So I'll start January 1st.
Cool.
But yeah, in the meantime, like any free time I have where I'm not working, I'm obviously committed to my job with the Golden State Warriors right now. But yeah, any free time I'm pouring into this. So.
Cool. And you mentioned this is the place where you want to be. When did you first think you wanted to be a WNBA head coach?
Yeah, I can't answer the exact moment, but again, the league has been growing, and it's been something I've been interested in. And so it's one of those things where, it comes up, you have those discussions, and then the more you do the research on it, the more enticing it is. Once, I had great phone calls with Jonathan, Clara, Kia, and I was like, wow, like this is it. And then it becomes easy.
Annie Costable, Front Office Sports. Quick one for Jonathan first. At what point did Chris separate himself amongst the candidates you were talking to?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, late in the process, I'd say like each meeting we had, and we had several with each and every candidate. Late in the process, once we got to, I'd say, we had a tactical session that we went through, which was something that we put each and every candidate through. And Chris really excelled in that area. Also, when he just spoke about the vision for how he wants us to compete, and was really specific about players, his ability to honestly be coaching in the NBA simultaneously while having plans for us really spoke to us. So I would say, as we narrowed down the list, I know you guys were reporting finalists and all those things, and like I told you, not all the names are out there. So I'd say towards the end, but probably around the tactical session for us.
And then Chris, for you, you're obviously someone who benefited from the coaching development in the NBA. Your career with the Warriors says as much. We heard Jonathan talking about the development of coaches in the WNBA, but what do you want to maybe bring over from your experience in the NBA as far as, additive as far as development of coaches goes in the WNBA?
Yeah, I think as much as everyone here talks about player development, there is coaching development as well. And I'm probably not the same coach that I was 10 years ago. Like, I got better because of my mentors and people who taught me the right way to do things. I was raised the right way in the right culture by Steve Kerr, and I've grown as a coach, and I want to do the same for anybody else on my staff. We're going to be intentional with who we hire. We've had a lot of success with the Bahamas national team with a lack of resources, growing coaches in that small amount of time. And I plan on doing the same thing here.
Chris, John Chandler with NBC New York. Congratulations. you spanned, obviously there was some consistency at Golden State, but you started under Mark Jackson, continued under Steve Kerr in that time. Like, what did you learn about building a sustained winner that you think you can bring to this organization?
It's finding the right partners, which I feel like I found with Claire and Jonathan, the rest of the organization. That's the first piece. Like, you have to be aligned, and from alignment it becomes, the roster, right? And if your best players are unselfish, if they're winners, if they are consistent, then it trickles down to the rest of the roster. And that's what I saw over and over again with, the Steph Currys, the Draymond Greens, the Klay Thompsons, and all the veterans we would bring in. Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, these guys are all pros, and they all teach the younger players how to work. And that's what I saw in terms of, like, being able to continue to get better and better. Like, it didn't matter what we were going through, matter what our record was. Those guys showed up and they worked, and they were good teammates.
Hey, Fifi from New York Daily News. For you, Jonathan, last time you spoke, you mentioned that you'll find out a lot about yourself and the team throughout the interview process. So I guess after speaking to other candidates, or Chris, what did you learn about yourself and the Liberty?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I felt like throughout the process, it was incredible how much coaching talent wants to be here, which is really incredible. I mean, I remember being at the league office. It was a different world, honestly. And so going through this process and just seeing the names that came up and the people we had the good fortune of speaking with was incredible. I think there's people in the basketball world that really value our players and our roster. They see potential there that can continue to grow, and that's really exciting for us. We obviously feel that way on our side, but when you hear that outsider's perspective come in and give it like a peek behind the curtain of what can be, that was really enticing. And so I think we learned a lot there, and I also think we just learned how we can get better through different ideas that came through no matter who we were speaking with. So it was a really, I'd say, like an enlightening experience.
Hello, Jeff Magliacetti with ballslife.com. Welcome to New York, Coach, and thank you for the notepad. I wanted to ask about where this franchise is at this point in time. Just a year removed from a championship, seeking a new coach in a sense. It's safe to say it's one of the more pressure-packed, if not attractive, vacancies the league has seen in quite some time. So how were you drawn to that pressure, and how can you best embrace it as you plow on this path?
I mean, if you ever played any sport and you're competitive, this is what you want. You want to be around the best players in the world. You want to be in the best situations for your career, and you want a chance to win. And if you don't, then this is probably not the right career for you. As far as the pressure goes, I've been not as a head coach, but I've been an assistant coach with a large role in over 175 playoff games. Like I've been out there in the fight, figuring out what we're going to take away, figure out how we're going to beat a team in a series, all of that. And then again with the national team, anybody who's played on a national team or been around national teams, you have limited practices. Player development isn't a real thing because your players are out of market the entire time. Somebody might get hurt. Now you don't have a point guard. And now you're going into a game where if you lose, the World Cup is shot. Your chance at the Olympics is shot. We had to win, I think, 10 straight games with the Bahamas, twice in Argentina, to even have a shot to play in the championship game in Spain against Spain to go to the Olympics. Like, to me, that's real pressure. You've got a country that you're representing. And this means everything to the players. Everybody wants to do something special for their country. So, again, I've always embraced it. I love that part of sport.
Appreciate your time and insight.
Thanks.
Brian?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Brian Florenson from Nets Daily and the Local W. For Jonathan, you mentioned that you want to sort of like stay ahead of the competition as far as like being more advanced in the WNBA. With the hire of Chris, how do you think the Liberty can sort of like stay ahead and sort of keep up with the evolutions of basketball and sort of keeping up with the evolutions in related to what could be a potentially different league context with the new CBA and the like going forward?
Yeah, for sure. I can't speak on the CBA part, but just in terms of the game itself, I think one of the biggest qualities that drew us to Chris was just his willingness to adapt and his tendency to adapt. And I think you saw it on the international level. Why is that important? Our league is fascinating right now when you look at the head coaches and the styles of play. this isn't the NBA where you have similar styles throughout. This is a place where we've got collegiate minds. You've got European influence when you look at Connecticut's setup. You've got WNBA minds, and now you've got NBA minds. It's a different game night to night. So what that means to me in order to stay ahead is you have to be willing to adapt. You can't be married to certain things. You have to be willing to experiment and go with what works so that by the time the regular season concludes, we know who we are as a team. We know we've got multiple triggers to pull, and we're at our best come September, October.
Hi, Maria Marino with ESPN. Chris, congratulations. Obviously, some of your players are sitting in front of you. I was just wondering if you had any relationships or interactions with any of these players even prior to your head coach candidacy.
Prior, maybe a little bit. Like, I've met everyone at some point, some after the hire, some before. I've reached out to every player on the team. I've had conversations. I've gotten to know them a little bit. Obviously, high character, all great people. Really excited to start coaching them.
How you doing? Coach DeMarco, Kenny Saintville with NYLF TV, also Liberty on SI. Congratulations and thank you for the notepad as well. Hearing about the pipeline from NBA to WNBA, what are some of the misconceptions you might have heard for, coaches transitioning from the NBA to the W? And what do you think is the the area of growth for a team that's already built as a championship roster?
So, yeah, say it again. You said the misconceptions of what?
The misconceptions that you might hear of NBA coaches joining the WNBA. There's been a lot of hearsay here and there. Just want to know, have you heard anything?
No.
Do you have any misconceptions of that?
Not really. Anybody I've talked to that works in the WNBA or has transitioned from NBA or NCAA has absolutely loved the league. I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to as well, and I'm already really, really anxious to get started here.
Thanks, Coach.
We have time for one more in the room.
Hey, Coach. Hi, Evangelina here. I have a little bit of a lighter question for you.
I didn't get you a notepad.
I did not get a notepad.
I was going to say before,
that was not going to be the
question.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Coming to New York, just so you know, I am like the team's foodie, self-proclaimed, but nonetheless the foodie.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to now that you're in New York, which is arguably the best food place in the world?
Might not even be arguably. I think it is. The list is. I mean, obviously the pizza, the bagels. That's kind of what growing up I remember the most. But I like Peruvian food. I like Brazilian food. Italian food is going to be there's so many options. I already looked up the closest Bahamian restaurants, the Caribbean food. It's got everything. I have absolutely no complaints. I'm really excited about it.
Okay, that's all from me.